Right.
What did we just witness?
All right.
Today.
Seeing it's 6:59, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order with a reminder to. With the reminder, this meeting is being video and audio recorded. Mr. Laurier, with a reminder, please silence your electronics devices. There we go. Mr. Laurier, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Chairman. Mr. Paul Alexander.
Here.
Dr. Shante Jones.
Here.
Ms. Stacy Seiberling.
Here.
Ms. Ellen Slobodnik.
Here.
Mr. Michael Cummings.
Here. All right, thank you, ma'am. Do we have any, can I get Ms. Seiberling?
Yes, sir.
Would you love to do the moment of silence and pledge of allegiance
I
for
would
us?
love to.
Thank you.
Please stand for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No additions or corrections.
All right, can I get a motion and a second for approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. All right, consent agenda. Assuming everyone's had a chance to review, can I get a motion and second to approve consent agenda?
Motion to approve a consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to school board member committee reports. The academic committee, Ms. Seiberling.
We had a nice meeting, a brief overview given by Pam, and she's going to elaborate to the board later. But essentially, she gave us an overview of the state is rolling out a new student and school quality profile about the accreditation program, and we'll get more detail about that soon.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to policy committee, Mr. Cummings.
So the policy committee met on October 7th and discussed the VSBA updates sent out in August. I will be presenting more on the updates later during the new business. As the chair of the policy committee for the board, I am presenting 6 good? Nope, yet. Not yet. Okay. Whoop. Back up.
We'll cover that new business.
Sure. Full send.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cummings. All right, so moving on to superintendent spotlight and announcements.
Dr. Grosser is going to come forward with some spotlights for this month.
Good evening, Chair Alexander and members of the board. Tonight in our spotlight, I am super excited that I get to talk to you all about 3 outstanding students from Manassas Park High School. Okay, well, now it's probably going to skip like 5 slides when it goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and start talking, and maybe Matt will be able to catch us up there in our slideshow. All right, first up tonight, the 24-25 Most Valuable Cougar was named at the Expectations of Excellence ceremony that was held on September 26, 2024 at Manassas Park High School. And I am excited to announce that our Most Valuable Cougar this year is Lonnie Ashton. Lonnie, are you with us? Okay, I'm going to talk about you for just a second. You stay right there. Thank you. Oh, there we go. Okay. Scroll. Okay, thank you. All right, so the Most Valuable Cougar is chosen by the senior class and faculty as the senior who best represents the following. The Most Valuable Cougar is a senior who values education and strives to reach his or her learning potential, sets goals and works to accomplish them, participates in activities and enhances them through involvement, has good school attendance, exhibits strong character, integrity, and loyalty, has an optimistic outlook on life, interacts with others in a warm and friendly manner, turns setbacks into victories, recognizes teachers, peers, and family as valuable human beings, and takes risks and shares new experiences with others. So a little bit about Lonnie. She has been an active member of the Student Leadership Council. She is an active member of NHS. She began her career with Manassas Park City Schools in the first grade. She has been a part of George Mason's EIP program. She's been involved in chorus and drama programs, and she is a member of our swim team. So tonight we want to recognize and congratulate our most valuable cougar. Lonnie, why don't you come on up? Scroll down. Here's another picture. No pictures tonight. All right, right here. I love that picture. Thank you. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Okay, next up tonight, we want to recognize National Merit Scholar Commended Student, on that page, Renzo and Taiwa Tasaiko. A commended student in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program, there are approximately 34,000 commended students throughout the nation who are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Commended students placed among the top 50,000 students who entered the 2025 competition by taking the 2023 PSAT. The mission of the National Merit Scholarship Corporation is to recognize and honor the academically talented students in the United States. They accomplish their mission by conducting nationwide academic scholarship programs. The enduring goals of their scholarship programs are to promote a wider and deeper respect for learning in general and for exceptionally talented individuals in particular, to shine a spotlight on brilliant students and encourage the pursuit of academic excellence at all levels of education, and to stimulate increased support from individuals and organizations that wish to sponsor scholarships for outstanding scholastic talent. So this is a major recognition within the world of academics, and we want to congratulate Renzo on this great accomplishment. Renzo, you're here, right? Come on up. Okay, and finally tonight we want to recognize Ahmad Quadrazzi. Are you here, Ahmad? Okay, Ahmad, give me 1 second. I'm going to talk about you for just a second. All right, Ahmad received the 2024 Financial Literacy Ambassador Award from WISE, a national education nonprofit known for its efforts to develop the financial literacy of young Americans. This unique award recognizes only a total of 5 high school students from across the country who have demonstrated exceptional knowledge and passion about personal finance. Each student receives a $1,000 monetary award. And I just want to say that one more time. They recognize 5 students from across the country. So actually, if you Google this, as I was doing to find out more about this as I was writing this, it's great because that AI bot on the Google that comes up at the top says, here's the 5 students. And you see Manassas Park High School right there at the top of the Google search. So that was amazing. Our Financial Literacy Ambassador Award is special thanks to the generous support from Flow Mentors. The award showcases students who are passionate about personal finance and understand how important it is to share their financial knowledge with peers in their communities, remarked David Anderson, the president and CEO of WISE. These young leaders will carry this valuable knowledge forward into their adult lives and careers. So tonight we want to recognize and honor Ahmad for this accomplishment. You're all going to go and Google that now. All right, this concludes our spotlight this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Grosser. All right, superintendent announcements.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Ms. Pam Kelso for a very special announcement this evening.
All right. Good evening, Chair Alexander, members of the board. It's my honor tonight to introduce the next principal of Manassas Park Elementary School, someone who brings a wealth of experience and a deep commitment to student achievement and the overall well-being of students and staff. Dr. Donnie Elijahwan joins us from Fairfax County Public Schools, where he has most recently served as assistant principal at George Marshall High School. His diverse leadership background includes previous roles as assistant principal at both the middle school level and as a professional learning specialist with Education Without Boundaries and Discovery Education. In addition to his impressive work in K-12 education, Dr. Elijahwan is currently an adjunct professor at Shenandoah University and holds a doctorate in curriculum instruction from Lincoln Memorial University. His dedication to instructional leadership and his passion for inspiring students and staff alike has been evident throughout his career. We are thrilled to welcome such a talented and visionary leader to our school community. Please join me in giving a warm Cougar welcome to the new principal of Manassas Park Elementary School, Dr. Donnie Elijahwan. Mr. Elijahwan?
All right, so it's good to be back in Cougar Land. And so to the school board, to Superintendent Saunders, Ms. Calso, and to also Mr. Koenig, he's been a great resource throughout this process. And to the entire Manassas Park City community, I extend a heartfelt thanks for this opportunity to serve as the next principal of Manassas Park Elementary School. This is a wonderful community. Since I've been here, I've felt nothing but love and care, and it's just joy. It brings me joy to know that soon I will be joining this vibrant community. I've heard so much about the current principal, Ms. Mammon, so many good things. Oh my gosh, she's going to be some big shoes to fill here. But I know with the foundation that you've laid, I know that I'm going to be coming into an environment that will, where I will be well received, and I am so eager to continue the great work that you've laid, continue the great work and improving student achievement, building that positive school culture, and engaging the community. And so again, I am so thankful. I'm truly blessed, and I can't wait to finally be a part of this vibrant community Cougar family here at Manassas Park. And so again, thank you all, and let's roll.
Thank you.
You're up.
Pam. Let's just do it with Pam.
We should really have Paul.
I think Paul needs to join. I think Chairman Alexander really needs to join.
Yes, he does.
Thank you so much. All right. Very nice to meet you. Likewise.
Makes sense.
Thank you, Dr. Elijahwan. We'll be working closely with Ms. Mammon to ensure a smooth transition. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Calso. Ms. Deloria, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No, Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to new business. Manassas Park City Schools Bullying Prevention Month Proclamation. Okay.
All right.
No, one sec. You're next.
Next? All right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
All right, so whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States and Virginia, and whereas over 20% of the youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as a bully or a victim, and whereas an estimated 14% of public schools report that bullying is a disciplinary problem occurring daily or at least once a week, whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can happen in many places on and off school grounds. Whereas it is important for Virginia parents, students, teachers, and administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the problem as a school community, and whereas Manassas Park City Schools has developed a model policy of anti-bullying to encourage positive behaviors and to eliminate bullying behaviors. Now, therefore, Manassas Park City Schools recognizes the month of October 24 as Manassas Park City Schools Bullying Prevention Month, with the intention of that the issue of bullying and its prevention be discussed in schools' classrooms during this time. So adopted by Manassas Park City Schools this day, the 21st of October, 2024. Now, Mr. Cummings.
Yeah. Finally.
Board policies, first reading, please.
Oh, it's such a fun time. Oh, gotta love policies. All right, so as the chair of the policy committee for the board, I am presenting 6 policies for the board's consideration. These policies contain the 5 updates as recommended received from the Virginia School Boards Association in August of this year. There is also 1 new Manassas Park created policy that is being brought forward for consideration around records management. Please take the time to review the suggested updates before the next regular meeting on November 18th. Should any questions come up during your review, please send them to me, and I will make sure the correct department follows up with you if more information is needed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cummings. You're welcome. All right, moving on to student achievement, Manassas Park City School student achievement update for the 2023-2024 school year.
Chairman, I'd like to welcome Ms. Pam Kelso, Executive Director of Student Achievement, and our school principals that are here that will be presenting with her. I didn't get a chance during superintendent's announcement just to shout out, I see a graduate in our audience out there, someone you all know well. Hello, Miles. I'm just going to shout you out right there. Hello, Miles. Welcome. Nice to see you here. We hope you're doing well. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Kelso.
All right. Good evening again, Chair Alexander, members of the board. I'm here this evening with our principals to share our student achievement data from the 2023-2024 school year. As a reminder of our 3 pillars, all play critical pieces in the student achievement performance of our students. The data we are sharing tonight can all be accessed on the Virginia School Quality Profile, which is publicly available from the Virginia Department of Education. The following membership data is also posted: the percentage of racial and ethnic groups, students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged students, and English learners. You can see the breakdown for approximately 3,400 students of Manassas Park City Schools. We have many highlights to share this evening, and you're going to hear it throughout the presentation, but I wanted to include the following from a division-level perspective. So the graduation rate improved nearly 7 percentage points from last year. Mr. Forrest will share a little bit more about that when he presents the high school data. There was greater growth demonstrated in reading and math in the previous year, so students at MPE and MPMS who took reading from the previous year improved and grew. You can see those numbers there, as well as the English learner progress as well. So for all of those areas, there was an improvement in the number of students who demonstrated growth. English learner progress and proficiency improved from 41.85% last year to 51% this year, and our chronic absenteeism rate declined from 33.2% to 20.5%. I would like to take a look at state accreditation first. So school accreditation ratings are based on student performance across 9 school quality indicators. Remember that not every grade level K through 12 is tested. Testing is primarily focused in grades 3 through 8, with some testing occurring at the high school level. And I'll get into a little more specifics with that later. High school indicators are unique and include the Graduation and Completion Index, or the GCI, the dropout rate, and the College Career and Civic Readiness, or CCCRI indicator. For students in grades 3 through 8, both the Academic Achievement English and Achievement Gap English indicators are measured using a combined rate that includes students who, 1, passed the reading and or writing state assessments, 2, failed the reading state assessment but showed growth, or 3, failed the reading state assessment and did not show growth but showed progress towards proficiency in English as an English learner. For students taking the high school end of course English assessments, the academic achievement English indicators measured using a combined rate that includes students who, 1, passed the end of course reading test or failed the end of course reading assessment but showed progress towards English proficiency as an English learner, or passed the end of course writing SOL. Both academic achievement mathematics and achievement gap mathematics is measured using a combined rate in elementary middle school, grades 3 through 8, and a pass rate in the high school, grades 9 through 12. This combined rate includes students who pass state assessments or fail state assessments but show growth. So based on last year's results, here's the accreditation status of our schools this year. All of our schools are accredited, some with conditions and some without. Schools that are accredited all have school quality indicators at either level 1 or level 2. In addition, schools that are in a triennial accreditation period are also accredited. Schools that are listed accredited with conditions are schools with 1 or more school quality indicators at level 3. This is a different qualifier measurement than last year, so there was something new that was added by the state law that had this in there regarding the level 3. That has led to accredited with condition ratings for Cougar Elementary and Manassas Park Middle School. Manassas Park Elementary School earned another 3-year waiver because they were not level 3 last year. They didn't have a level 3 last year, so they had an automatic waiver. So even though they have a level 3 in science, because they have the waiver, they show up as accredited again for this year. Manassas Park High School did not have any level 3s last year and therefore are listed as fully accredited. So some changes from last year. Changes and implications. This is the unadjusted assessment data and the adjusted accreditation data. And that adjusted amount is in parentheses. Principals will share specific unadjusted and adjusted data for their respective buildings. Assessment data is reported in the Virginia School Quality Profile and is unadjusted. Accreditation data is adjusted and includes standards of accreditation adjustments, the growth in reading and math, and English proficiency growth. All 3 years listed here have been very different with uneven performance as we were returning from the pandemic. Standards were changing, different requirements from the state, new standards change in science during 22-23. Math had a crossover year last year. English language arts standards and math are new this year. Again, remember that these numbers do not represent the entire performance of students' grades K through 12. Certain tests are only given at certain points in a student's academic career. We test reading in grades 3 through 8 and once in high school. We test math in grades 3 through 8 and once in high school. Science is tested at 5th and 8th grades. The 8th grade test, remember, is a cumulative test of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade content. Science is tested once at the high school. History is tested 4th grade, 8th grade, and once in high school. So there are a lot of moving pieces. Remember, for chronic absenteeism, this is a number we want to see decline. We also polled the cohort numbers and performance to see how grade level cohorts progressed from one grade level to the next on state assessments. For the majority of overall scores reported from last year, there was an improvement by the cohort as they went from one grade level to the next and were tested in reading and math. So you're actually looking at the diagonal. So if you look at grade 3 reading, that group of students in 22-23 had a 36% pass rate. Last year, if you go diagonal, as 4th graders, they earned a 49% pass rate. So that was a 13 pass rate point performance improvement. So you can see that there was a lot of improvement with the cohorts in both reading and math grades 3 through 8. Okay, so now we're going to shift from state accreditation to federal accountability and identification. You may remember this slide from last year when I discussed Cougar Elementary School's federal identification. Federal accountability scores do not include any of the state accreditation adjustments. The biggest difference this year for this federal identification is in step 3, where the level 3 designation has been added as a determining factor in federal designation. This is new this year. So last year, that level 3 was not in there. While we made progress in chronic absenteeism last year, those rates still do not meet the federal accountability requirement. So we're not making that rate federally. And then you add the level 3 indicator, which would be in science for Cougar, MPE, and Manassas Park Middle School. The triennial waiver does not apply to federal identification. So what pushed our data into the step 3 range was that the school has one or more level 3 school quality indicators, and that was the case for Cougar, MPE, and the middle school, who all were level 3 for science. So they have been identified as schools for targeted support and improvement. The subgroups for federal identification are as follows. They're the same for Cougar and MPE because we're using the same set of 3 through 5 data. The schools count, Cougar counts with that. So those subgroups are economically disadvantaged, students with disability, Black, Hispanic, and multiracial, and for the middle school, it's students with disabilities. So TSI schools are a year-to-year designation, so you can exit after 1 year. It's not cumulative, it's a year-by-year designation for that. So we're in the process right now of attending webinars, reviewing the school improvement grants to receive federal dollars towards evidence-based supports to improve reading, to help students improve their performance in reading and math. This can include such things as additional professional learning, instructional materials, classroom materials, etc. So we'll be working on that in the course of the next month, and I'll be working individually with each principal and their team on that. So the division is committed to focusing on the improvement of student performance as listed in some of these actions on the screen. We have added instructional coaches at both elementary schools. We've also added additional reading specialists at MPE in the middle school. We've done a lot to support schools with the collaborative learning CLT process. You'll hear more about that as each principal presents. We utilize remaining ESSER and school improvement grant funds on intervention materials K through 8 and reading and math manipulatives for both elementary schools. We've been providing various professional development across K through 12 and also working with some consultants and groups to provide that PD. We're also working on building out multi-tiered systems of supports and a framework for grades K through 5. The division is working closely with the Office of School Quality and has submitted a division support plan. We have placed a strong emphasis this year on the alignment of pacing, planning, delivery, and assessments, and our team is working with staff in buildings to support collaborative learning teams, or CLTs. I want to thank our school staff, teachers, administrators, and central office personnel who are working so hard for our students' success. This is dedicated and committed hard work, and I do want to recognize those efforts. What you will see in the next few slides is data that is both assessment unadjusted and accreditation adjusted data for each school. This data has approved a new school support and performance framework, and Ms. Cyberling touched on that earlier in the meeting. So this will all change for next year, all of these rules, and everything will change, and we'll certainly keep everybody updated in that process. So I will ask now for Mr. Charles Forrest, principal of the high school, to come forward to present highlights, data, and action items for the high school, and that will be the format that will follow for each of the 4 schools. Mr. Forrest?
Thank you for having me this evening. As you can see, we have some great success to celebrate from last year, and also some areas of growth that we will continue to focus on as well. We are excited to see an increase in our reading SOL scores and our math SOL scores, and kind of digging down into some of the impacted areas of where we increased. You can see how that is detailed out there. Both our reading and our math teachers did an excellent job of of working on their curriculum, common planning together, and then targeted interventions as well for our students, and that definitely shows. As you'll see, we do have a growth area in science, but we do want to celebrate some of the success. Our science teachers were able to look at the needs of their students in semester 1, and especially our biology teachers really revamped the curriculum heading into semester 2. They also had very targeted interventions with their students, and so you can see that there was a 10% increase from semester 1 to semester 2. That has served as a great foundation going into this year, and they're continuing that work as we speak. It was very nice to see our increase in our graduation rate and decrease in our dropout rate as well. As you know, and as we've shared in the past, the seniors who are in our building, we have a high graduation rate for those seniors who that we have in our building. It is when we develop our cohort and look at our cohort, those students who over the course of their 4 years may have transferred out, may have moved away, and if they don't report to a school where we cannot ensure that they are enrolled in another school, that definitely impacts our graduation rate and our dropout rate, as well as our CCRI. Again, we implemented, as you will see in one of our following slides as well, ways to try to capture those seniors who have testing needs early on in order to make sure that they're successful and to be able to spread out some of the assessments that they need for graduation throughout their senior year as well. We're extremely excited about the work done in our nurse aide cohort and the start of EMT program and continuing to build that out this year as well. So again, our CTE teachers, Fatin Hamad has done a fabulous job, as well as Lisa Wolf, supporting those programs, and we're excited to see that continue to grow. I think when I first came on as principal, talked about wanting those opportunities for students that once they graduate, they have an idea of what could be next for them, and definitely these pathways help fulfill that need as well. Expanded our work-based learning. You see here 7 experiences from the previous year to over 123. Again, just a lot of teamwork that is there, and making connections in the community to provide those rich experiences for our students. We saw performance increase 30% in our WIDA scores. I think that also you can see reflected, especially in our math and in our reading. So the great work that our EL department has done, as well as our English department. A highlight has been double blocking some of our English classes along with our English language classes as well, and that's provided great support for our students. We're also excited to be in that cohort of JMU direct admissions. We had 80 students last year who received this offer. I want to say we have just under 100 this year. In fact, Cougar Time tomorrow, those students will have an opportunity to meet with a representative from JMU as they walk through that process. So again, direct admissions makes it far easier for our seniors to go into college without having to fill out some of that paperwork that may be foreign or a barrier to them actually getting into school. And as always, we're extremely proud of our fine arts departments and the work that they do. And yet again, we are a blue ribbon school. So if you look at the raw data here, you can see the increase that I referred to in English and in math. Science, we still have a ways to go that we are working on. In our next slide, we'll talk about that a little bit more. History has a little bit of a story as well. We use our World History 2 assessment, SOL, for that accreditation piece. We did pivot to World History 1. Input from some of our teachers and departments, we felt that there was a little bit of a gap from World History 2, and so we use World History 1. This year we are using a project-based learning format, and our social studies teachers are digging into that and providing great opportunities in other ways that we can assess our students. You see the dropout rate that we referred to as well. Chronic absenteeism also significantly dropped for us as we follow up with students and families and work with them to to ensure that they are attending school every day. And then that CCRI, again, that's a little bit of a story of our cohort and our seniors that we have listed who are in the building. What our seniors who are in the building from last year, our internal records would show that we're a little above 80%, but again, not being able to account for some seniors who transferred out or students who transferred out in a previous grade has contributed to a little bit of a lower number. If I go the right way. So some of our action plan that we're working on here. A way of addressing CCRI is our service learning projects. We've now implemented this in our U.S. government classes. So all seniors who are in a semester 1 class, roughly about 100 of them now, are working on this. It gives them great skills of their projects that they are developing, ways that they can serve the community as well, a good lesson in civics. And so that also will help us with our CCRI data as well. Senior seminar, speaking of ways that we are reaching our seniors who are in the building who have testing needs. We have extended our summer window of testing and extended it into August to capture some of our seniors and to be able to spread out some of those tests that they are taking. You can already see the results of that. We began the first day of school with 103 seniors who had testing needs for graduation, and that currently has been reduced to 66, and as we continue to test, that continues to drop as well. One of the biggest items that we do is our cohort review meetings. This is where we are looking through all of our students who have either transferred out, who have moved away, to see if we can identify exactly where they are and if they have enrolled in another school, and that again helps shore up our cohort as it impacts some of our other metrics. As Ms. Calso pointed out, all schools are working on our collaborative learning teams. The high school is definitely doing that on our instructional planning, data analysis. Again, I think the science department was a great illustration of the power of that and what they're able to achieve when they plan together and they're able to dig into the data that comes from our assessments. And then one of the last things that we are embarked upon is some of the professional development for our teachers. Both the middle school and high school have partnered with Eric Rhodes, who is a consultant coming in and is helping to work with our science department. He is helping conduct walkthroughs. He is helping during common planning and assessment as well, and has been an invaluable resource for us. The high school specifically is also working with John Meehan on increasing student engagement. What are ways that we can further involve our students in the lessons and during the classroom? He led a powerful PD presentation for us in August and again on October the 14th on ways that we can engage our students and make sure that they are engaged with the curriculum that we're offering. So those are some of the items for Manassas Park High School, and then I will now call Mrs. Tuttle.
Good evening. I apologize. I don't normally sound this fantastic. Normally I have a different tone to my voice, but I thank you for your patience. I'm excited to talk with you today about Manassas Park Middle School and the growth that we have seen across time. We are in a space where a lot of the things that Mr. Forrest just spoke of echo the work that we're doing too, so I'm excited to highlight it. In terms of our English academic achievement, we have seen growth across all of our students. And then when we drill down, we can take a look and see specific performance increases for specific categories that are starting to edge forward with our students with disabilities, our English language learners, and other groups. Key highlights that our school has shown long-term longitudinal success with are with our civics, and we'll be able to look at that band in just a moment. It does not count as a score for accreditation, but wow, can our team knock that out of the park. We also have strength in writing. It's a major push across grades 6, 7, and 8, even though we don't necessarily see that. We see that blending in the new IRW, the Integrated Reading Assessment. We place a high value in writing, not only in our English language classrooms, but also across the curriculum. And then, of course, we do have students at the middle school who start taking algebra and geometry for high school credit. Those continue to be areas of strength for our students. We had a full court press to improve student attendance at the middle school last year, and we made significant achievement. And we took that as a kid-by-kid model, really talking with families, making partnerships with them, and really getting at the heart of the matter, what was preventing their child from coming to school, and really talking to the kiddo about what was going on. And partnering with Veronica Miller and Belinda Orlando really created a pathway for us to move the bar with our school counselors to have that improvement. Last year, we were named a Blue Ribbon School for music for both choir and band, and that was a huge success for our students. We will be this year celebrating academics and attendance with more frequency because we see that middle schoolers really need to have more opportunities to shine. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. And then we see an increased participation also occurring in our athletic program, which we know has a long-term positive effect. So when we look at the numbers here, you see that really gorgeous band for civics increasing all the way to 81%. When I see that, that tells me that we have a pathway in our other content areas, because civics concepts are kind of challenging. And so we're going to continue to build on that and make growth. We have bands of growth that you saw earlier that will cascade up while we work through CLTs to make an improvement on our academic achievement. And you'll note there the chronic absenteeism went from 30.3 to 17.6, and boy, did we cheer about that. In terms of our action plan, this is work that we've been doing for the past 2 years, but are able to continue to dive deeper in that, where we are leveraging our common planning times to develop those standard-based and aligned lessons. Teachers are having frequent conversations about what they're going to teach, when they're going to teach it, and how they're going to teach it, and what they will do when it's evidence that students need more or different along the way. So those evidence-based instructional practices really are focused in first on improving student engagement, because we know that that hook needs to occur in order for mastery learning to elevate. Partnering together to create and deliver formative and summative assessments that are rigorous, that really seek to meet the standards, is also work that is in concert with our instructional support specialists at the division level. We're collaborating and building those key assessments, and then we're unpacking them and looking at what the data says, and then making actions plans based on that. So that is that just in time, as well as before, during, and after assessment work at looking at what students need. So unpacking the universal screener, which for us this year is STAR in reading and mathematics, looking at formative assessments, and then unpacking those summative assessments. In science, we as you know, we have a new standard set, but also a new curriculum with our adopted resources that we continue to unpack and really appreciate all that it brings to us. So that, plus a real focus on hands-on learning. So our goal at the middle school is to have a hands-on learning experience at least once a week in each science classroom in grades 6, 7, and 8. That, combined with that collaborative planning to develop those hands-on activities that really, we're kind of flipping the script. You know, usually you would have to learn all the things before you got to do the lab. Now, sometimes we're starting with the lab. And we're seeing students get really curious, and it allows teachers to really understand where their prior knowledge is so that they can immediately launch it. Academic vocabulary is critical across the board for all of us. And a lot of the science content is brand new in terms of the academic vocabulary. It becomes very dense in a short amount of time in both grades 6, 7, and 8. So focusing in on that and using best practices for all students, students with disabilities, and ELS students has really allowed us to have some traction there and have them gain retention. And we're hearing more student voice in the classroom where students are using the academic vocabulary to describe what we're learning about. And I talked about how we're actioning on the data to make that difference as well. In language arts, we're ahead of the curve. This is very exciting. So we don't actually technically VLA until next year, but through the advanced thinking of Dr. Saunders and Ms. Kelso, we are able to have 2 reading specialists in our building, an instructional assistant, and then also create pathways for where we're pulling down reading instruction into Tier 1. And so in grades 6, 7, and 8, we are building student capacity to do word attack and actually build phonemic awareness so that we have students who are able to have a higher zone of approximal learning when they are met with a reading activity. And so those specific reading strategies and then those targeted instructions are happening within the classroom, but then also through pull-out with our reading specialists and their assistant. We do have expanded professional development taking place through the VLA, but also we've been pushing it in. So last year, we had TTAC with us for a large portion of the year, really looking at the process of reading and how we teach reading. So that partnership will continue and expand into special education with hope. Then that takes us into mathematics, where we have a data-driven collaborative process, really looking at ensuring across all of our 4 core areas that we're putting questions in front of students that focus on the rigor and the standard. And then we're very fortunate at the middle school to have a math specialist based in the building who can partner also with our division level math specialists. And we're providing tiered targeted intervention to students in Tier 2 and 3. Like Mr. Forrest referenced, we are partnering with him to share Eric Rhodes, who is bringing in that very specific, just-in-time professional learning for our science department, and we're looking at ways to expand that not only this year but into the future, so that we're building more capacity with expanding content so that we're making it content that is really geared towards the students that are with us instead of just kind of skipping over the top of the water. And we're also able to do that with our instructional specialists through PL. So our most recent PL day, in the morning after we had our wonderful speaker, we transitioned into a PL where we focused in on teacher partnerships, where you have 2 teachers or 2 staff working together to teach a group of students, whether they be L students or special education students, and how can they leverage their skills together to not only deliver the lesson, but actually prepare the lesson so that it meets their individual needs. I think, do I have one more? Oop, nope, that's for Stacy. So before as you come up, Stacy, I just want to say that the really big focus for us at the middle school is differentiation of instruction and really meeting students where they are, where we're talking about student-centered learning objectives, so that they feel a sense of purpose. Why are we teaching you this? It isn't just because we love it, it's because we want to connect you with how it makes sense in your world. So, as an aside, I walked into a science classroom recently, and as I was coming down the hall, the room was thumping. And I thought, oh goodness, what's happening here? Well, the teacher was presenting, the hook for the lesson was a super bass truck, and it was showing how the sound was vibrating the windows, right? So that was the hook into a lesson on sound and what it does to various different surfaces. And that's a real transition for us, and it's a pretty cool way to engage students along the way. Stacy, it's my pleasure to welcome you. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Alexander, members of the board. I will be sharing some additional specific data specific to Manassas Park Elementary, but first I would like to take a moment to share some of the highlights of our previous school year, 23-24, and we have much to be proud of. The first highlight is the growth that our students demonstrated in reading and math. While we recognize that there is still much work to be done to increase the number of students who are meeting those state and federal benchmarks, it's important to recognize and celebrate those increments of progress that our students are making towards those benchmarks. Our SOL pass rates in reading for all grade levels increased, and the pass rates for math in grades 3 and 4 increased. And as Ms. Calso shared earlier in the presentation, cohorts of our students demonstrated noticeable growth from the previous year, highlighted by the 13% gains our current fourth graders made in reading. It's also very encouraging to see the gains demonstrated by our third grade students last year in both reading and math. Third grade pass rates in reading were 8% higher than the previous year, and pass rates in math were 10% higher. And of note, that group of students, last year's third graders, are the first cohort of students to begin kindergarten in a fully in-person learning environment following the pandemic. And so I think that that's an important group of students that we really need to continue to monitor and track. Those third graders are our fourth graders this year, but they were the first group of students to be in person fully for kindergarten. Another highlight focuses on the language proficiency gains demonstrated by our MPE students. Last year, our English learner progress rate was 64%, exceeding the federal target of 54% by 10%. In addition, 108 students, about 29%, exited and no longer required direct EL services. We also saw a noticeable decrease in the number of our students who are identified as chronically absent, and this is shared with the high school and middle school. This decrease can be accredited to the many strategies that we put in place, including establishing a dedicated school attendance team, identifying at-risk students, and partnering with families to intervene early, and implementing incentives and celebrations for school attendance. The last thing to highlight, a positive school community is what leads to academic growth in our classrooms. And last year, our counseling team and our newly added student support specialists led the work of establishing a school-wide positive behavior support system. Our goal was to promote a positive school culture by establishing consistent expectations and reinforcing and supporting them in all areas of our school. At MPES, all that we do is centered around the 3 R's. We are respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. The 3 R's give everyone in our school a common language and common set of expectations around how to be positive and contributing members of our school. And when we see our students demonstrating the 3 R's, we celebrate. Student recognitions include positive office referrals and Cougar of the Month recognitions, which do include a pancake breakfast. And it has been exciting to see our school come together around the 3 R's and make MPE a positive and safe environment for everyone to learn and grow. On this slide, as Ms. Calso said, you'll see both the assessment and the accreditation data for each of the content areas. In parentheses, you'll see those combined rates for English and math. And you will notice a very significant difference from the federal assessment rates. For example, in English, you see the 48 for the assessment and then 89, that is that combined rate. What those combined rate means, that is taking the number of students who passed the SOL, and then it's adding in the students who met a very defined amount of growth, the students who are recovery, which means that I was a student who did not pass the year prior, I've received interventions and remediation, and now I've passed the following year. And for reading, it does include the students who demonstrated a defined amount of EL progress. So in reading, that's an additional 214 students who demonstrated, again, a defined amount of growth, and 149 in math. And as I stated earlier, you cannot meet a benchmark without making increments of progress, and so I think it's exciting and of note to see that we do have so many students who are working towards meeting that benchmark. You will notice that we did see a decrease in science, I think similar to what you heard about from at the middle school, that there are some challenges as we implement new, more rigorous standards, and it's not just about knowing science, it's about doing science. We're in year 2 of our new curriculum program, STEM Scopes, and I'll speak a little bit more on our action steps about our plan to target science. Our fourth grade, in history at fourth grade, it's the Virginia Studies, continues to be an area of focus. There is a high level of vocabulary and background knowledge that is necessary to access and be successful with that Virginia Studies history curriculum program. And so this year we do have a new program, new resources that we're using, Five Ponds Press, and we're already seeing the positive impact of that in our classrooms. And I did speak, you'll see on the chronic absenteeism, a significant reduction there, and I spoke about some of our strategies. So again, I think you're going to see a very common theme here across the schools in what our efforts are to target our areas of need. So using SOL data and other data sources, now what? And these are our action steps as we look to support our student success. Again, you'll see that continued focus, as you did across the schools, on establishing and maintaining and supporting high-functioning collaborative learning teams. And really, that's where the work is happening for all of our content areas. And we're talking about what students need to know and understand. We are working collaboratively to plan and design lessons. We are coming together to design common formative and summative assessments that are at the level of rigor that is necessary based on the standards. We're talking about the data, grade level, school, individual student, and how we're going to respond to students who still need additional supports, interventions, or enrichment. And so really that bulk of the work that we're doing for all of the content areas is really happening through our CLTs. Our CLTs are supported by our division level content specialists, our instructional coaches, administrators, teacher leads, our reading specialists, and of course all of our teachers, including special education, EL teachers, and our homeroom teachers. Virginia Literacy Act, a huge part of what we're doing this year. It's the first year of our benchmark advanced ELA curriculum, and so we've really rolled up our sleeves and working hard. We've had several really high-level professional development at the beginning of the year, and then we just had something on October 14th. But again, the work and how we're supporting our teachers is happening through those CLTs. Right now, we're in the process for our third graders of developing those individualized reading plans based on their VALS data. And so I know in future meetings we'll be able to share more about that. That if you recall, I think from earlier information, every student K through 3 who is identified in a high-risk band on that VALS assessment, we do need to develop an individualized reading plan and assigning targeted interventions and monitoring the progress for each of those students. So that work is happening right now one-on-one between our third grade teachers, our reading specialists, L teachers, and special education teachers. We will be utilizing the VDOE Structured Literacy Walkthrough tool through our instructional team to really be able to monitor and support the literacy instruction that's taking place in the classrooms. And then really expanding the understanding of evidence-based literacy instruction across all of our educators in the building. And so that's happening through Canvas course that is developed by VDOE that all of our teachers are participating in throughout the year. And then, of course, offset of that in the CLT based on those guiding questions off the modules. Intervention and remediation. We are able to, what we've been working, continuing, assigning and providing interventions to identified students during our care block. So right now we have SPIRE, Ignite, and Moving with Math. And so that is, again, looking at data and how we're responding to that and identifying the students most in need of those small group targeted interventions. We will continue our high dosage tutoring, if you recall from last year, the All In Virginia, so that we utilize Lexia and Imagine Math, and again, that's all done through our CARE block, which stands for Cougar Activities, Remediation, and Enrichment. We came up with that many years ago, and it's stuck, but it really is a dedicated time where no new instruction is taking place, and it's an opportunity for our teachers and interventionists to really meet the very individualized needs of our students. And then we're also working on supporting our teachers and how do you provide those effective intervention and reteaching within the classroom at that Tier 1 level. Science, continue year 2 of our implementation of STEM scopes, and you'll see in that second bullet really maximizing that time that we have together in our CLTs with our K-12 science specialist, our instructional coach, to unpack those more rigorous science standards. Again, going back to, as Ms. Tuttle said, it's doing science, and we're really trying to work together and supporting our teachers in planning and delivering high-quality science lessons, and then using the VDOE Science Classroom Observation Tool to monitor and support with that science instruction that's taking place. So I would like to thank all of the teachers and staff at MPE for the work that they're doing. It's hard work, it's very rewarding work, and I think everyone there is dedicated to the success of each and every one of our students. And I look forward to sharing progress, all this work as we continue through the year. This time, I invite Mrs. Pareja.
little too quick. Thank you so much for, I know I'm the last one, and you guys have been sitting for a long time, so I do apologize for that, but I'm really excited to share the exciting things that are happening at Cougar. One of the things, we talk a lot about intervention, and that is a necessary conversation for us to be having, most definitely, but one of the things that we're really excited to have started talking about is the idea of acceleration, and really looking at students at the very youngest levels. Our students aren't formally identified for gifted services until the end of second grade, but what we started seeing last year is we had students that had needs and had that potential to be identified, and we weren't always, the number of students who were found for gifted services just weren't enough given the number of students that we had. And so we thought about how do we foster that potential that we're seeing in our students, and how do we kind of get creative with some of our staffing. And so we had an amazing STEM teacher, Chelsea Malloy, who's also gifted certified, and she started on her extra planning pulling groups of students for accelerated math. And it was literally out of the goodness, that was extra planning for her, and she gave up that planning time to be able to do that. And what we saw in the kids is they were so excited. They were so incredibly excited to be going to their accelerated math group. She was able to work with groups in all of the grade levels, but with small numbers of students, because it was just such a sporadic time when she was able to meet with them. Concurrently, we also had our librarians start doing a book club with our accelerated readers in second grade. And I remember a mom saying to me, well, because we also had the chronic absenteeism, and so the mom said, you know, he didn't want to miss coming on a Monday because then he was going to miss book club. And so for me, when you can get kids excited about school in that way, our kids are able to perform at high levels, and how do we create scaffolds to be able to do that at the youngest level? There are obvious ways as kids are identified later, but sometimes we forget in the primary grades we have students who have that gifted ability and that potential, and how do we nurture that? So we were able to be creative with our staffing, and we created a position, we repurposed a couple of positions and created an accelerated learning resource teacher, the alert teacher. And Ms. Malloy is in that role, and she does a couple of things with that. She pulls accelerated math groups. She has about 20 students at each grade level in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and she's pushing their thinking in mathematics. She also, during our intervention block, we have students that are pulled for formalized intervention that need that type of support, but we also have students, that's when the students are coming for their accelerated learning resource teacher time, is during that intervention block, because they don't need remediation, what they need is acceleration, and so we're offering that. The other thing that she does, she does a lot of things, but she also will push into classrooms to support teachers. If I have students that are fast finishers, I don't want to just give them more work. What else can I do to challenge them within the classroom setting? And then the final thing she does for our second graders is she has something called the Light Bulb Lab, which is part of our specialist rotation. And so she's giving kids really open-ended and creative tasks that align to things that they will be asked when we look at that GT screening in the spring. Because what we found is, a wondering we had is, do kids have experience with these type of tasks that we're asking them to do to look at GT eligibility? Because that does create a pathway for a student to access more accelerated math and more accelerated science as they matriculate through the grades. So we're really excited about all three of those opportunities that our teachers, our librarian, Rebecca Rowe, and Chelsea Malloy have been all in terms of creating those experiences for kids, and we're super excited. And the thing we're most happy about is that the kids are really excited about it as well, and the teachers. With our pre-K, we have a fabulous pre-K program. We'll share some of our data with that. There's an incredibly rigorous process to go through in terms of state qualifications, the VQB5 rating. There are extensive evaluations, observations that have to happen. There's a review of the curriculum. Our performance in our pre-K program has been really, really extraordinary, and so we were really, really pleased under the leadership of Jessica Roach to have that meeting expectations for the VQB5. We've had a significant reduction in chronic absenteeism. That I think chronic absenteeism in a primary school is a different beast than it is with older students, and so a lot of the work and the improvements we saw is partnering with parents to help explain the impact of absenteeism, to talk about ways that we can avoid that. Our parents have really partnered with us for the most part to really see that significant improvement, and so we've been really, really pleased that we've been able to work on that, because we feel like if we can get the absenteeism issue solved at our level, it then carries with students throughout the rest of their career. The instructional coach has been an amazing addition to our school community. She focuses on academic and behavioral strategies through observations, modeling, coaching, one-on-one meetings with teachers. I know that you all are aware of the teacher shortage, and we have teachers coming to us through non-traditional routes, teachers who haven't completed internships, and the instructional coach has been able to offer a level of support to teachers coming in that has been really, we weren't able to offer that before, and it really has made a huge difference in terms of teachers feeling supported and teachers being successful in terms of delivering an instruction as well as managing the classroom behaviors. We've had a shift in our team meetings. We used to have power teams that met once a week. And for us, we have 11 classrooms per grade level. When you have all of the teachers, the 11 teachers, plus the ESOL teachers, plus the SPED teachers, plus it would be 20 people in a meeting trying to talk about curriculum or talk about data, and it became a little bit overwhelming just given the size and scale of us. So we have restructured our master schedule, and we have divided our teams into a black and a gold team, and so you have about half the number of people, and they're meeting twice a week. One day per week, they focus on language arts, really unpacking the benchmark, looking at the data, looking at the new VALS assessment. The second meeting is either dedicated to math or science. And so the reality for us is oftentimes science got the short end of the stick in terms of the meeting time because there was only one meeting per week. And so this really has allowed us to focus across a broad spectrum of contents. And I think the teachers have felt like the meetings are supportive, and we're pretty excited about that. Again, the revamped master schedule, we have a daily intervention/acceleration block. We don't call it a care block. I feel like we should have a jazzy name because we're a primary school and we come up with jazzy names for everything, so that's on my list, I guess, of things to do. But we've also added increased time for instruction for both science and for social studies compared to our previous master schedules. In terms of our data, what's tricky about our data in terms of reading levels is the assessment panorama has completely changed. So this data is based on assessments that we don't use anymore. And so the PALS was a fine assessment. It gave a very high-level view of kids and their reading. It would tell you if kids knew letter names, if they knew letter sounds, if they could decode words. But with the VALS, it is a much more nuanced instrument for us to really understand and diagnose students' reading needs. So for example, do kids know their sounds? Absolutely, it measures that, but it also measures, can they blend the sounds together? Can they segment them? Can they decode words? Can they decode pseudo words? So they understand the patterns of the sounds that letters make together. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to use VALS. There's been a huge amount of new in the primary grades. Certainly the VLA has had a tremendous impact for us. We have a brand new curriculum, we have a brand new assessment, and our teachers have been amazing in terms of breaking that down and really being able to look at what students need in a much more precise way, because we have much more nuanced assessments to be able to gauge that. And so in our CLT meetings, for example, we're noticing global trends. So for example, in first grade, our first graders are having difficulty segmenting, and so our coach and our reading specialist are planning specific meetings to talk about how do you teach segmenting, how do you progress monitoring it, how do you progress monitor it, what would that look like if students are still struggling with segmenting, what can you do? And so it's been very helpful, and I think that next year our data will look very different because I think we have very precise measurements to really be able to target exactly what students need, whereas PALS was a much more global look at reading. Our chronic absenteeism, again, we saw a significant decrease in that, and again, our kids are all little. Our oldest student is 7, maybe 7.5. They're very picky about that at second grade, but really thinking about how do you partner with parents at the age of our kids to really be able to support them to understand why this is a really important piece. In terms of, this is our VALS data for pre-K that I just had to give a shout out to pre-K, that they've used the VALS assessment for 3 years now. The state began with pre-K and then is now transitioned up K to 3, and I think, I'm not sure if it's going beyond that, but it's a one-on-one administered assessment. Like, it's incredibly labor intensive, but the data that it gives is incredibly valuable. And you can see with pre-K just the impact of having that level of precision with the data instrument to be able to be responsive to what kids need. In terms of our action plan, Benchmark Advance for all students. The other piece, which we actually have loved, we've been able to align with the content specialists from central office, both science and social studies standards that are also addressed in Benchmark. So we reworked our pacing guides for both science and social studies, so that if we're doing a unit in Benchmark, we also are doing a supportive unit in science that correlates. So if you have a child at Cougar, they probably can tell you all about life cycles, the life cycle of the oak tree and the life cycle of a frog, and they can compare and contrast them. And Benchmark was really supportive with that. And the other layer for us with the number of language learners we have, there's something called Benchmark Express. The thing that's amazing about that is if they're reading a story about the tree frog in the Amazon, the students who are participating with Benchmark Express are also reading a story about the tree frog in the Amazon, and it's a modified text, but it still has rich vocabulary, it still has comprehension questions, it really is, it raises the level of rigor for our English language learners and allows them better access to grade level content. So we're very grateful that you all approved that, and the teachers, it's been a huge lift for the teachers because it's a lot, but it's a lot of really good things that our kids need, and so we're very excited about that. We have, for the first time last year, we did not have Lexia. That was just for MPE and above, and this year we have Lexia for all students. We had something called Smart Ants, which wasn't quite as robust, and this is approved by the state, and so that is one of the interventions. All of our students are accessing Lexia. It has it differentiates the goals, and so based on how students perform, they might need 20 minutes of Lexia throughout the week. Some kids might need 60 minutes of Lexia, and the teacher can provide direct instruction lessons if students are struggling or stuck on a particular concept. I think I've gone on and on about how I really like the vowels as compared to PALS, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But CLTs, it really allows us to focus in and hone in on very specific skills to help move students in terms of reading. We have SPIRE and Moving with Math interventions as well that target students with the most significant gaps. It also allows us during that intervention block, some students are pulled out for SPIRE or Moving with Math. Some students are going with the Accelerated Learning Resource Teacher, and then there's a smaller number of students left in the classroom that the classroom teacher can also work with in small group settings. Collaborative learning teams, again, we've gone to twice a week just to allow us that focus on language arts or math and science. STEM, we've revamped STEM a little bit. We have 3 STEM labs. The kids love going there, but we've really looked at how can we align what we're doing in STEM with the science expectations and marry those two together. And so it's been really helpful for the teachers. The STEM lab still has, there's a difference between STEM and science instruction, but there is definitely a way that they overlap and intersect. And so they've done a really great job of looking at the science standards and looking at opportunities to integrate those into STEM. And again, I believe I've also yammered on and on about how I love having the instructional coach and what a support it's been for both the teams as well as individual teachers. And so I think that's it.
It does conclude our presentation this evening. I want to thank our principals. The 4 of them are outstanding instructional leaders. We're all fortunate to have them here at Manassas Park City Schools. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
I have a few.
That's what I heard.
I want to applaud the work to decrease the absenteeism rate across the district. That's amazing. So thank you, everyone. I know there's only a select few of you guys sitting here, but I know it's there's a lot of people to thank. So thank everyone involved in that. I'm looking forward to hearing about how we're monitoring our district focus on science. It sounded like science across the district was a focus. I hope we hear more about it in our committees or here in a actual board meeting. Excuse me. My coffee is wearing off. John Meehan, I've actually had the pleasure of hearing him speak at conferences, and I personally reference his book to this day in my work, so I'm really happy to hear that our Manassas Park teachers are getting those opportunities as well. He's really amazing, so I'm glad that you guys are getting that. MTSS, I saw that was in K through 5, and my question is, will there be an expansion of this into middle school or high school down the road? I'm glad we're going to do intervention and remediation, but I think some of our data shows us that needs to be
Well, and comprehensive too, not only considering the academic needs, but also attendance, behavior. We want to get things in place, K through 5. The VLA, the literacy focus is an easy conduit to that at the elementary level, so we're starting there first. We are partnering with George Mason's TTAC for support on how to structure that framework and to ensure that we have timelines in place to meet that. So we're meeting every month. A team of us are meeting from various departments to ensure that we're on track with that. Once we get everything in place, K through 5, and that will probably go into next year, we'll have a focus on 6 through 12 as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. On slide 8, I was just looking at kind of the transition schools, when we go from Cougar to elementary to the middle school, really the elementary to the middle school, and just seeing kind of a dip in the scores there during that transition. And then also when we were talking about the accelerated math at Cougar, kind of getting those students out, that we get those kids accelerated, what are we doing and once they go into the elementary school, so that they're not just getting accelerated and then going right back down, that we're catching them in the elementary level and keeping them on that accelerated path so they're not bored. So just those couple of things. And then also mentioned were PACER guides at the Cougar level. Are we doing those types of things, keeping the grades and the classes? I know we talked about it using one of the information systems that we approved, I can't remember the name of it, but keeping the lesson plans consistent across all the grades. And I think you were mentioning it at the Cougar level. Are we also doing that or getting that on track at the elementary level?
Yes, we're using a platform called Common Curriculum, so that is a big part of our CLTs. So the lesson plans are in there, and the goal with the collaborative learning teams is to be able to review those lesson plans to ensure that they match up with the pacing, what's the assessment going to be, what are we collecting with data, the analysis of the data. The great thing is that those plans can be rolled over each year and tweaked. So it is a heavy lift this year, and I acknowledge that for our staff, but once they're in there, even with second semester at the high school, we'll be able to, we'll have good plans in place so that we can really focus on some of the next steps with instructional delivery and collecting writing good assessments and being able to analyze that data. As far as the advanced coursework, I know that there are frequently conversations between both buildings about students. Our counseling teams are a big piece of that to ensure that placement we have the best placement for students possible with what their needs are in both reading and math. So those conversations start occurring in the early spring and continue throughout the year. We can collect some data. They even look at it after some of the SOL data to make sure that those placements are accurate for students. And as we talked about in the academic committee, accelerated coursework will be important at the middle school level with the new accreditation system.
Yeah, it was more at the Cougar level and to the elementary level. I know at the middle and the high we've kind of accounted for that, but it can be a behavioral disaster with a child that's bored, even that student. So I was just concerned with making sure that the elementary school is ready to catch that accelerated student from Cougar.
Yes, that does happen.
And then I think those were all my questions. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Good?
Good.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kelso.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you all to the principals and everyone who came. You're not going to offend us or Mr. Lyon if you do want to leave before his budget amendment. All right, moving on to Student Services, Bully Prevention Awareness Month.
It looks like our Student Services team is going to come on up and provide that presentation for you this evening. Thanks for them for being here as well to share the great work that they are doing across the division.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Alexander, school board members. Thank you so much for having us here this evening and giving us an opportunity to share with you. My name is Kelly Brown. I serve as the Supervisor of Student Services, and I have the opportunity to serve alongside the school counselors. 4 school counselors are here tonight, 1 from each school building, and I get to serve with the rest of the team as well. So we wanted to highlight October as Bullying Prevention Month, and this is a slide you've already seen that Ms. Kelso shared, but like so much of our work, bullying prevention is grounded in the 3 pillars of our strategic plan. As you look through the pillars, you can see that building community and connection, reimagining the school experience, and creating safe spaces directly aligns with bullying prevention. I won't read this. This is something that I know you've seen before, but our definition of bullying is defined by the Virginia Department of Education and, of course, adopted by Manassas Park City Schools. So what is bullying? We use this quadrant at all of our schools to teach not only our students, but also our staff and also our families, our parents and other stakeholders, the difference between bullying and joking around, the difference between bullying and teasing, or bullying and a mean moment. So Dr. Kristen Marbury, who is our Director of Behavioral Services, and I have been going around to the schools. If we haven't made it to all, we have them scheduled with each school. As we know, there's new staff members, there's new deans at the middle school, there's new school counselors, so just ensuring that all of our school staff know the definition of bullying, know how to investigate bullying, and know the follow-up actions if we see this in the school buildings.
Oh, that's okay. So something that I would love to mark your calendars for is our social emotional learning night. It's this Thursday, October 24th. I'm pretty excited because if you see from fall of 2022, we had 35 people participate, and last year we went up to 260 students participating. I just got chills because, I don't know, that just is pretty awesome. So 642% increase. Woo woo! That may be because there was also ice cream. But it's a great event where the community's involved. Parents are able to come and talk to their kiddos about their social emotional learning and show the students and families that it doesn't just happen in the classroom. We also have the fire department come, the police department come, building those community relationships, and there's just a couple snapshots. We had a therapy horse at our last one. Yeah, it's a great event, and I'm really proud of it. Oh goodness, now I gotta click it. I gotta scroll. Oh yeah! So come and throw SEL around like confetti. Some things on Thursday that you guys can look forward to is a free sweet treat. We are getting Nathan's ice cream and Nothing Bundt cakes. Yeah. You guys want to come. And we also have free little spot books, which are about social emotional peaceful spots, showing kiddos how to embrace their peaceful spots, confidence spots, and other spot books, which we had a lot of parents at the last social emotional learning night in the spring that were just really amazed by these little books. And they're just like the little classroom sets, but it's putting books in the hands of the kiddos and their parents.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bree Griffin, and I am one of the school counselors at Cougar Elementary School. And so much of what the school counselors do is bullying prevention. So much of what we do every single day is just, helping our students become good people. So what we have on this slide here today is really just a snapshot of what we do, but the hard work that we're doing with our students every day is all surrounded about them just being a good person. So how do we promote social emotional learning? We use Rethink Ed, and week 7 has a specific focus on bullying prevention. So in kindergarten, we're talking about helpful versus harmful. First grade, we talk about ripples of kindness. And second grade, we talk about safe adults at school. When they move into 3, 4, and 5, there really is a more specific focus on using the word bullying and what that means. But even at Cougar, we use the quadrant that you saw that Kelly showed to help our students and our parents really understand the difference. As counselors at Cougar, we do monthly lessons with our students around different topics. We just did lessons in October around personal space and keeping your hands to yourself, which is very important for our 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. So we really talk about having a safe body, and again, all of that really just promotes being a good person and bullying prevention. We are a bucket filling school, and if you're not sure what that means, basically your bucket is your heart, and whenever you're filling someone's bucket, you're doing something that's making them happy, and when you're dipping in someone's bucket, you're doing something that makes them sad. So this directly relates to positive behavior and helping our students understand what's right and wrong. So we do have a student bucket filler each month and a staff bucket filler each month, and similar to MPE, we have a monthly pancake breakfast for those students that were awarded the bucket filler of the month. One of the things that really helps with bullying prevention is our Kelso's Choices conflict resolution strategy. So we are teaching students the difference between big problems and small problems, and of course bullying would fall into that big problem, and if that's the case, then we are telling students that they need to report to their teacher or their parent. But the small problems that typically happen in a classroom every day, we're teaching students how to solve those problems independently. And there are 9 different ways that we help our students to do that. And so the school counselors provide lessons on that. We have messaging across the school that also helps them learn that skill. I talked about the What is Bullying quadrant already that we use to really talk through different situations that pop up throughout the day. Teachers will have a 1-minute meeting with the student to discuss an incident that happened and help them decide where it falls in the quadrant and then what we do and moving forward. And lastly, we take the reports of bullying very seriously. If a student reports bullying, if a staff member reports bullying, or if a family member reports bullying, we are investigating those claims immediately or as soon as we get the report, and following up with the person who is being accused of bullying and their family, as well as the person who is saying that they are being bullied. So we document those things in our spreadsheets, and we are communicating with families about that.
There you go. I'm back. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Mackenzie Vissler. And I have 2 amazing co-counselors, Julia Byers and Deanna Robinson. And so at Manassas Park Elementary School, we work to promote positivity. And I'm really proud of how much the students and the staff has taken on the 3 R's, like Mrs. Mammon previously said about being respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. Mrs. Mammon and I were just talking, and it was really awesome to see for our yearbook covers, a lot of the entries had the 3 R's on them. So you can tell that the students are really engaging within their 3 R's. Something that I want to share about the positivity is our positive office referrals. Last year, we had 30 positive office referrals. So far this year, we have 31, which is really awesome. Each student that gets a positive office referral gets their picture taken, put up on a bulletin board. When you're down at MPE, it's right outside the Miss Solarchik's room. They get a ticket to Texas Roadhouse for a free kids meal. They get to give the teacher who wrote the positive office referral a nothing but cake coupon, and I always say, tell them thank you for making my day sweet. I think it's cute. And then they get a positive phone call home. And I'm just really proud of our staff at MPE for all the positiveness that they've been doing. And I really, truly think that when you promote positivity, it promotes more positivity-ness within the kiddos. And we do the similar things with the bullying, like Cougar. So I'm not going to go back into that, but we do the same. We teach the quadrant with the bullying, what is bullying prevention. All third graders get counseling lessons every rotation. Fourth and fifth graders, we push in for counseling lessons. And we start off the school year with who your counselors are, and then what bullying is, how it's confused with peer conflict, mean moments, and joking around or teasing. But that's pretty much for Manassas Park Elementary. And if you're ever at Manassas Park Elementary School and that you hear there's something positive coming to the front office, then you know what it is.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Brickey. I am a school counselor at Manassas Park Middle School. We really build on what Cougar and MPE do, so some of this stuff is going to be very familiar. But we start every morning with an announcement that has some kind of encouraging or uplifting message to kick off our day for our students. This week, our announcements are specifically focusing on bullying and bullying prevention, but every morning they have a positive announcement. With our Rethink Ed lessons, we do those in our Pride blocks, which happens once a week. And then we are able to add in Pride blocks as needed if there comes topics that we feel like need extra attention or something that we're experiencing a lot of throughout the school for whatever reason that might be. We can add in extra lessons, so we continue to use Rethink Ed for that. This week we are focusing on being an upstander, addressing cyberbullying, and promoting an upstander culture. We also have the quadrants. Every teacher has these posted in their classrooms, or if they're a traveling teacher, they have copies of on their cart. They are also in every admin's office and counseling office, so they are throughout the building for reference. Our bullying reports are also kept in a spreadsheet so we can track them and investigate as quickly as possible and collaborate with central office for those investigations and working with families through those tough situations. We tend to have a slogan at the middle school of showing your Cougar pride, so we expect our students to be positive, responsible, inspirational, determined, and engaged. That is also posted throughout our building. It is on our flyers. It's actually right there. That's in every classroom. And we have Pause for Pride as well, much like your positive office referrals. Yes, so if a teacher catches a student showing one of these out in the hallways or in the cafeteria, they will get a little ticket. They can turn it in, and at the end of the quarter, whichever grade level has the most gets an extra special reward of some sort. So students are really excited to receive their Pause for Pride, and sometimes they'll even say, "Did you see me do that good thing? Do I get a paw for that?" So that's kind of cool. They're pointing it out for their friends too. So we enjoy that as well. I'm excited to say that our Student Council Association is taking over our Pause for Pride in quarter 2, so it's going to be student-led and focused, so that's an exciting update as well. And then I think we have Ms. Teague for the high school.
Hello, I'm Natalie Teague. I'm the counselor at the high school. We will echo the same thing as the other schools. We do still talk about the quadrant at the high school. We still have to explain sometimes what bullying is, and we use the same materials and language that they're using at the other schools, so everything's very consistent when we talk about it in our building also, and we also do the same reporting and everything that everyone else does. But I'm going to talk to you about our Spirit Week this week. So in recognition of Kindness Week, and Manassas Park City Schools cares about kindness, we are celebrating with Spirit Dress Days every day. Today is Monochromatic Monday. Tomorrow, I should let Mackenzie say this, but positive animal print tomorrow. We are having our college and career fair on Wednesday night at the high school in the high school gym, and so it's going to be College Career Day on Wednesday, so we're encouraging the kids to dress
up like a career that maybe they aspire to. On Thursday, it's sports day, so we're encouraging them to do college sports, but they can do any sports team they want, wearing whatever kind of gear or jersey they'd like to on that day. And then, of course, our Cougar Pride Spirit Wear on Friday. So the next slide shows a graphic that we've shared with everyone across the division. So we're doing the same thing across the division in every school. And Ms. Bisler is responsible for this great graphic also. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our Bullying Prevention Month presentation, and we certainly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any board comments, questions?
I have one. I appreciate all the work that you guys do on teaching our students and educating them on bullying versus what's not bullying, the peer conflict. The quadrant's amazing. I might have borrowed it. But I did have a question on the data surrounding this bullying. Have we seen a decrease in bullying or bullying reports or peer conflicts with all this prevention lessons and strategies?
Yeah, I can definitely provide that information to the board. Anecdotally, I can say, and I know the counselors can back me up, that once Bullying Prevention Month hits and we focus on it and we're teaching the students, we often see a little spike in bullying reports, especially I would say at the lower elementary. They learn the term, they learn the word, and then they say, I think I'm being bullied, I think I'm being bullied. So that is a huge education piece, I would say, especially at the elementary school. We do see a little spike in October, but I would have to provide you with that information with numbers, but I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, just to follow up, I think across several years would be helpful just to see what our trends are on that.
Absolutely. We do have that information, so I can provide it.
Perfect. And Social Emotional Learning Night, I've attended. It is amazing. I had so much fun. I went to all the tables, and I didn't get ice cream, but I did go to all the tables, and I talked to a lot of the administration and the students, and it was really a positive event. There you go.
Strong.
Yes.
So strong.
And I also I did appreciate at each of the grade levels the positive phone calls back to the parents and through the students. It's a lot of times we get the phone calls where our student's in trouble or our child's in trouble. So it's nice to hear that the parents are getting some of the feedback. They're doing a good job and making us proud. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And congratulations on your recent nuptials, Miss Bisler.
I used to say the 3 R's plus embrace your inner Miss Rupert, but I can't say that anymore.
Thank you all again for coming tonight. I know it was a late evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to finance, fiscal year 25 budget amendment. Mr. Lyons.
Thank you, Chairman Alexander, members of the board. Tonight I'm here to present an amendment to our current active live budget for fiscal year 25. As with everything, finance is the underpinning of all pillars. Finance goes through everything. I want to reflect first here on a slide of some numbers I presented probably about a month ago at the summary of FY24, just to refresh everyone's memory. At the end of FY24 in our general operating budget, which accounts for about 88% of our expenditures, we had a projected almost a $1.3 million fund balance to transfer back to the governing body. What we're presenting tonight in this amendment is to request $700,000 to be transferred back to FY25 in our CIP plan to support some security projects that I'll go into in a couple slides. The next is our capital improvement fund. $538,700 was our fund balance out of FY24, and it is part of the plan to carry that on forward to the next fiscal year, which would be fiscal year 25, but I have to request that every year. So it brings a total to $1.8 million in unexpended funds at the end of FY24, but we're asking for $1.2 million to be forwarded to FY25 for starting fund balances. This slide I presented the last time. This is the FY24 summary of our capital improvement plan, so I won't review all of it, but I've circled the two important numbers, which is that $538,000 left over from our local funds, and then $804,000 left over from the state construction grant funds that we have carrying forward into FY25. Some projects that were not finished in SAIP plan by June 30th, but they had already started, are listed here. So we need to request those be carried over in FY25. So I need those expenditures of $520,000 to be added as new expenditures to the FY25 CIP fund. Going back to what I just alluded to a little bit, the $700,000 that we'll be requesting as part of this amendment to be transferred back for FY25 is for security improvements. The initial school security grant that provided all of the badge readers, the upgraded video systems, over the last year or two, which was a grant from the governing body that Dr. Grasser worked very closely with to get implemented. Provided some long-needed improvements, but it did miss some significant areas that still need to be addressed. Right now, about 40 additional exterior cameras need to be added just for some blind spots, and some additional card readers that were missed in the initial planning. And then the high school vestibule, the original design didn't meet the needs, and we had to redo it. And so we need to add that to the CIP plan, and that's part of that $700,000. So as a total, we break down here. We have an estimate. We've done some architectural designs with our engineer that we used for the middle school roof. So he's done some preliminary work on it, and right now we estimate that project to be about $450,000. And then the additional $250,000 would be for the additional security measures. So that being a total fund balance, as I've already mentioned, about $1.2 million carrying over into the CIP plan for FY25. Now moving on, the governor amended his FY25 budget at the end of the school year, and one huge significant change was they changed the staffing ratio for English learners. The change now, it used to be 50-1, but now they've broken it down by the levels of instruction. And in the English learner program, there are 4 levels. Level 1 is the beginner, the non-speaker. Level 4 is your highest level of the language acquisition. So you see the ratios there. Level 1 is a 1 to 20. Level 2 is a 1 to 30. Level 3 is a 1 to 40. Level 4 is 1 to 50. And the monitor status, once they exit out of English learners, they're on monitor status, I believe, for 4 years. And so they have to be monitored after that. Bottom line is, we have to add 10 new positions this year that were not in the budget, and 10 additional on top of that next year for FY26. Oh. Good news is the state did give us some money. So. But yeah.
But you got to find them.
Yeah, it is amazing. They just don't pop out of the woodwork. That is a huge challenge, and Dr. Grasser and I know Leanne David are working hard to find those. Oops. So looking at the amendment detail tonight, I've gone over the CIP pieces. One thing we need to add into, we had some funds roll over from FY24 to FY25 that we needed to expend out of the ESSER grants to wrap that up. So I need to add $159,000 of expenditures to the FY25 budget, but those again were covered from reimbursements from ESSER. The general operating fund, the 10 additional ESOL teachers, roughly estimate about $1 million for those positions to be added to the budget. Since the budget was approved, we had to add 2 deans to the middle school. Maintenance support positions, we had to add 3 maintenance positions. We had a custodial maintenance contract that we've contracted out for many years, but we came to a point we could not sustain that contract and the cost going forward, so we had to restructure our plan. Right now, we have continued contracted custodial services, but we brought in-house the maintenance and facilities work that needed to be done. The materials and supplies for those positions, the Bell Foundation teacher grants, those came out after the budget was approved, so that money has come from the foundation to those teachers, but we need to add those expenditures to the budget since that is fed through us. And then the school improvement grants of $50,000. This totals up to about just a little over $3 million in additional expenditures that I need to add to the FY25 budget. So where does that $3 million additional dollars come from for those expenditures? And they're listed here, which are the same numbers I just mentioned. We've talked about the FY24 to FY25 carryover request funds of $1.2 million, the Governor Youngkin's budget amendment, which estimated about $1.6 million in additional funds to our budget, the school improvement grant, the Bell Foundation, and the 2 ESSER grant reimbursements. Again, for a total revenue of a little over $3 million, which equals our proposed additional expenditures to the FY25 budget. This here is just a quick summary of those additional expenditures by fund, and you'll see in the middle column by each of those funds what the amendment includes for a total of $3,069,167 in additional expenditures. So we're proposing to take our currently approved budget of $60,440,989 plus the $3 million to take it up to $63.5 million for FY25. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions? Nope. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lyon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask us offline, but if you want to.
No one asked now.
Oh, okay.
Any question?
What's a dean? Yeah.
Oh, 2 deans at the middle school?
Yeah.
So you'll have a principal, assistant principal, and then sometimes schools will have deans. And deans are there to help with supporting the administrative team so they can focus on instruction. So the deans will focus on attendance issues and minor behavior issues that then free up the administration to focus on instruction with the teacher teams.
How many deans do we have currently?
2 at the middle school.
And we're adding two more?
No. These are just 2.
New positions.
Oh, they're new, okay.
Yeah, they weren't in the original budget.
So we don't have deans right now? No.
We have 2 deans at the middle school.
So adding 2 more, where are they going?
No, we're not adding 2 more.
You didn't have deans before.
Now
We've
we
added
have
2.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's all we've got.
That's all we have.
Yeah.
But I have to propose it because we added them to the budget since the
Right,
approval,
since
but we knew we
okay.
had these funds coming in, so we went ahead and put them in place.
Okay.
Good question.
Gotcha.
It supports behavior. There's other school districts that have the dean position in like all schools. Yeah. So that way the assistant principals can push into the classrooms and really support instruction, because sometimes they're taken away by dealing with behavior or like that whole bullying, all those bullying reports.
Right.
Those involve investigations, something the dean could assist with. So the CLTs and the instruction
pull away
focus.
from instruction.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to upcoming meetings. We have school board, special school board meeting, public hearing and action on the 25 budget amendment, Thursday, November 7th at 5 p.m. here in City Hall. We also have a regular school board meeting Monday, November 18th at 6:59 p.m. City Hall in Chambers. And then we have the VSBA annual convention coming up November 20th to 22nd in Williamsburg. Moving on to student representative report.
Okay, I have a lot. I'm sorry. I'll be quick, trust. Okay, the concert choir we had was on October 2nd. All the choirs did amazing, and we are so proud of all the hard work that these students put into putting on such a great concert. And shout out to Ms. Schenk for all the time and effort she put into like preparing the choirs for our concert. It was great. It was amazing. We had lots of people come, and it was really fun. Also, the Mixed Chambers Choir sang at the Hilton Performing Arts Center on October 12th with the Manassas Chorale and the Osborne Park Madrigals. It was an entertaining experience. It was a very long experience, but it was very fun singing on the stage again, and we're very proud of the Manassas Park Chambers Choir for only having 3 full rehearsals and then putting on a show on that stage. The high school band had their concert on October 17th. I did not attend, but I heard that it was amazing, and they did very well. The high school also has a new school security officer. I'm pretty sure that's what he's called. Mr. Turner. He graduated from Manassas Park in 2015, and he's very excited for this job. He's doing a great job. Like, he's interacting with a lot of students too, and he's doing great. Our homecoming football game was Friday night. Congratulations to Hoko, King, and Queen. I don't remember last names, but congratulations to them. The homecoming dance was also Saturday. It was something. It was great. It was something. Senior portraits are in the high school commons tomorrow from 2:30 to 8:30 p.m. There's also another opportunity November 19th, same times. Tomorrow we have a volleyball home game versus Warren County. JV is at 6 p.m., varsity is at 7 p.m. This is their Dig Pink event for breast cancer awareness, so dress in pink. College and career night, like Ms. Teague mentioned, is October 23rd from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This event provides students the chance to connect with others and learn about various post-secondary options. They are looking for potential recruiters, employers, and community support. Please reach out to Ms. Teague at the high school if you have any questions about that. October 23rd is also the cross-country home meet at 5 p.m. It's their senior night, so come out and support. October 29th is another home volleyball game versus Skyline. JV is at 6 p.m., varsity is at 7 p.m., and it is the volleyball senior night. Trunk or treat is October 30th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I have one more thing. I have it on my phone. This week is Virginia College Application Week. So if you're a senior, you should go down to the counselors after school this week and get some more information on fee waivers. And get some fee waivers for your applications because it's very expensive, and you should also ask for applications for scholarships and, be prepared for applications. And that's all I have for this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, board member comments. Mr. Conley, start with you.
Sure. One thing that, sorry, Crystal, was missed also, the marching band had a first place clean sweep. I think it was a Woodbridge Invitational.
I don't remember. I just remember they got first for like everything.
Yeah, it was a clean sweep.
Yes.
It was well done. I happened to be at that show. I'm a nerd. Yeah, but other than that, thank you, counselors that are not here. Thank you to our staff who really puts it down. They are really doing great things with our students. Bullying Week is no joke. It's the month really. Thank you for putting in the work and continuing it year to year. I definitely see it in our students that I am able to engage with. So, awesome. I'm done.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say congratulations to our 3 students, Ahmad, Renzo, and Lonnie. Congratulations to you all, and welcome to Dr. Olajuwon. If I said that correctly.
I think so.
Okay, like the basketball player.
Yeah, that's where I have
Yeah. Okay. And welcome to Manassas Park.
All right. Hold on, she forgot one thing.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it was good to see Miles here, and congratulations on winning Mr. Freshman, I heard. So, great. Nice to see you.
I just wanted to echo the congratulations to all of our scholars. We're proud to recognize you and your accomplishments, and so thank you to all the amazing things that you're doing and for highlighting how great Manassas Park is. To our new principal, we welcome you to Manassas Park. We're happy to have you as part of our Cougar family, and we as a school board look forward to supporting you and your work.
I also wanted to say welcome to Danny. We're super excited to have you. Also, congrats to Ahmed and Renzo on your scholarships. Amazing job. Well earned and well deserved. Also, congrats to Lanny. We got to see her expectations of excellence and how supportive the student body was of her and how excited. And the administration really did a great job on the whole presentation of her recognition. So, congratulations.
All right. I think everything's been said. So that being the case, we are going to have a brief 10-minute recess. And we will be moving upstairs to move into closed. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.